I. Power of control, when to lead and when to let go. So as we're getting close to the webinar and getting more information, what we're going to work with and what's in the way. When to lead and when to let go and when to be in your power. So what's coming in very strong in the last few days for me as well is to honor the amount of mass psychosis, mass programming that's in our system. And that's been in the genetic line for generations. Because if we are programmed to believe we're on the right side or on the wrong side, and it's not true, then there's a lie in the system. So how can you be in your power, for example? How can you make the right decision, for example? And I think I was talking to a friend about it. A good example is I know I lived in Berlin and I worked a lot around Germany for many years, last 20 years or more. And the German nation, I really felt they went into taking responsibility. The ones I worked with cleared a lot of guilt. And then, for example, as a friend was talking about the weekend about, the Americans were the saviors and how much that's been portrayed in movies and in, in programs. I'm not saying they didn't go in and work with the Second World War, but what is the conditioning? What's the programming from war? How much manipulation has been in the system through movies, through mass manipulation? And for example, as a friend I was talking to, how did you feel when you saw the Hiroshima bomb being dropped on the Japanese and the children there? And then, you know, have you dealt, for example, if you're American, have you dealt with your guilt as the Germans dealt with their guilt? So it's amazing when you look at different nations and you can see it. So the programming is so good in the system that it's almost like normalizing that it's okay to kill certain children from certain nations. And it's not if one is killed from another nation or one is white or one is black. So this is all mass psychosis. And we've been normalized and conditioned to believe that, this is the divide and conquer programming that's in all of us and that's in our ancestral lines. So how on earth can we make clear decisions unless we've worked with clearing the divide and conquer programming? It's the one side creating the two wars. Maybe it's the one people creating the two wars. So this is the wars within us and the wars around us. So the conditioning within us and the conditioning around us. So in this webinar series, I'm going to be working with clearing all this mass psychosis from the system around divide and conquer and see where it's affecting you in your truth, in your decisions, and what's there from the epigenetics from your ancestors. And believing I'm on the right side or believing on the right side of the decision. And let's clear these systems. And it's amazing. I dropped into it this morning and I was like, whoa, there's a lot of conditioning in our systems around, religion, around health, around politics, around different nationalities, around what country's the bad country and the good country, who's the saviors. And, for example, let's say with America is like in the last 80 years, how many wars has America funded and created? And they're always the good guys. So, I'm here in Kenya, the colonial system. Have you looked at your colonial guilt? If you're British or Dutch or French, all the colonial guilt. Have you worked with that? It's easier to put on other people, but what about our own systems? So we all have it within our blood, our ancestral lines, and what makes it okay for us and what doesn't make it okay for others to do the same. So there's a lot of conditioning, a lot of programming, a lot of fears, a lot of anxieties. I was just talking about in Ireland when I was growing up that, we were programmed really, really well to believe that African children were, all going around starving with the flies all over them, and that they were primitive, which is a complete lie in the system. And it's all programming. So this was the condition that I went through growing up about primitive. And it's like the total opposite when I'm here in Kenya to see how highly sophisticated, highly educated the Kenyan people are on the soul level, spiritual level, system level, and how to feed themselves, how to take care of themselves, how to take care of their own health through medicines, through healing. It's incredible. So the level of conditioning, I'm just giving this as an example of the conditioning, you know, each one of us from where we're from or where our bloodline's from has different levels of conditioning and programming around mass psychosis as we experience with the pandemic. Oh, I'm injected. Oh, I'm not injected. Oh, you're the bad one. You're the good one. Oh, split from this one. That one will create disease. That one will kill people. That one won't. So it's like, that one's stupid. That one's not stupid. So the amount of programming, mass programming that's been done so skillfully over the years with the media, with the mass conditioning, and it's really, really amazing how effective it is. And when you drop into the system, you believe, you realize how much is in the system. So yeah, I'm going to go into this over the weekend, and then I'm going to be also working with relationships around systems, because it's one thing about being able to regulate yourself in your own system, and then are you able to regulate yourself within a relationship or a different constellation of 4 or 5 people, for example, in work systems. So I'm going to be teaching different, first clearing a lot of this mass manipulation, mass psychosis, guilt, shame, all the programs that are put into our system, and see what's there. So whatever's separating us from our essence and our own essence values, and the amount of conditioning around beauty, around sexuality that's been put out at the moment, and how it's affecting us and how it's affecting our children. So let's clear the systems and go back to the purest essence of us. And so we can really be in our own power and know when to stay in that power and when to surrender, and how to balance and regulate our system alone and also within systems of relationships and work systems. So if this is something you'd like to be part of, I invite you to be part of this webinar. It's going to be a big one, and it's going to work very deep into the subconsciousness and clear a lot of manipulation out of your system that you're not even aware of. That's the thing about it. We're not even aware of it. It's been done so skillfully. So this is clearing our own inner world and then clearing the outer world. So yeah, if you want to be part of it, I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.